Good evening, and thank you for joining us here at Triad News. I'm Todd Uckermark.
And I'm Mike Pumford. Coming out, find out what people are doing to protest one of President Donald Trump's recent executive orders.
And an inside look at the March for Life in Washington, D.C.
But before we get started, weather person Scott Hardesty has the latest weather update. Scott?
Thanks, Mike. As you can see, looking at the weather map here, we have a lot of high and low pressure systems working around the country here, but it's all moving eastward. So what's going to happen is this low pressure system right here is going to come meet us in North Carolina, get some rain for a few days. Then a high pressure system will clear it out a little bit, and then another low pressure system will hit us, more rain, and then a high pressure system will hit us. So in about 4 or 5 days, when this high pressure hits us, we'll be back up to the 60s once again. But I'll have more on that later in the show. Back to you guys.
Scott, we'll have more on the weather forecast later in the show, but first, police had to use pepper spray to disperse a crowd of protesters in downtown Columbus, Ohio, and airports across the nation saw large groups of demonstrators.
And demonstrators blocked access at airports across the nation in opposition of President Donald Trump's executive order closing the borders to refugees and immigrants from 7 largely Muslim countries.
Protesters took up signs and clogged streets in cities everywhere, including Greensboro.
Joining us in the studio now is Sean Wrinkle. Sean was at the Greensboro when the marches came by and took place and had some pictures and cell phone videos. Sean, thanks for joining us.
Hi, good to be here.
So, Sean, what was the crowd like when you first saw it? Like, how big was it?
So it was about 40 or 50 people. It was largely made up of community groups that were putting on the event, and it quickly grew to a couple hundred people. Originally, the event was planned to walk along the sidewalks, but because of the size of the crowd, we actually ended up going down the streets. They had to shut down several of the main streets in downtown Greensboro and call extra police in for monitoring.
So I know that there's been a few marches. Was this this gathering mostly peaceful, or?
It was a very peaceful rally. That was the actual theme of the rally. It was an emergency meeting for immigrant and Muslim rights in response to the Trump administration's executive orders on travel bans and the wall, as well as other crackdowns on immigration. They discussed things like making Greensboro a sanctuary city for immigrants, things about how to respond to Trump's executive orders by way of contacting legislators in North Carolina or other actions for community groups, and what to do about ICE and how to protect community members from being picked up.
Was there a specific message the crowd was trying to get out?
There was. They were preaching equality and acceptance for the people that were targeted through Trump's executive order. And they actually have a follow-up meeting. Tomorrow night is the anniversary of the Greensboro sit-ins during the civil rights movement. And those groups will be meeting again in the same spot to discuss furthering their movement.
All right, Sean, well, thanks for sharing your video and your experience.
Thanks for having me.
Washington, D.C. has been a hot spot for protesters as President Donald J. Trump has officially takes place in the White House. President Trump's inauguration was followed by the Women's March, the Immigration's March, and this past weekend's March for Life joined the list.
Joining us in the studio is Triad News reporter Isabella Jimenez, who was at the center of the March for Life in D.C. Isabella, what was the message from this group of marchers?
So the message was that civil rights begin at the womb. So everyone was there standing for women and the unborn children as well.
Thousands descended upon Washington, D.C. to stand for women and the unborn. The largest Right of Life demonstration in the world, the 44th Annual March for Life.
The feminists were here last week for women's rights, but there are women in the womb. There are little girls that are yet to be.
Since Roe v. Wade, abortion has been an ongoing controversial issue in America. At the march, people filled the streets shoulder to shoulder.
Pro-life experts shine the...
Yes, we do. We love babies. How about you? Woo! Yes, we do. We love babies. How about you? We love babies. Yes, we do. We love babies. How about you?
Every time a new president takes office, people are anxious about the new administration's stand on abortion.
I'm deeply humbled to stand before you today. Deeply humbled to be the first Vice President of the United States to ever have the privilege to attend this historic gathering. Life is winning in America for many reasons. Life is winning through the steady advance of science that illuminates when life begins more and more every day.
The people who raised their voices at the March for Life were hoping they would be heard among all the other issues the country is facing right now.
During the other march in Washington last week, I saw the picture of a young black teenage girl in the crowd who was holding a sign that said, "I survived Roe v. Wade." That young woman beat the odds and was born into a world too far often that favors the abortion of a black girl instead of the life of a black girl. When those organizations that profit allow our children in the inner cities to feel that they can only be empowered with a life by ending a life, no, we will not accept that. We will not accept what might have been.
Pro-life activists want to redirect funding to clinics that don't offer abortions but offer other women's health care services to women in need.
God bless our women that are struggling with unplanned pregnancies. May we love them. May we embrace them. May we help them discover their power and their potential. But may we never, ever allow our funds to pay for the death of young children. They prefer for women to be victims because they know that a truly empowered woman profits herself, her community, and everyone she touches. We cannot accept what might have been.
These marches will not give up until abortion is not only illegal, but also
Demonstrations taking place in the country right now. The March for Life group wants to keep their views on the abortion issue in the public conversation.
What an amazing story. Thank you very much for being here and sharing with us, Isabella.
Thank you for having me.
In Iowa City, a FedEx driver saved the American flag from being burned by a group of protesters. The FedEx driver has been identified as Matt Earn.
Matt Earn is seen jumping out of his delivery truck to intercept a group of protesters who were attempting to burn the American flag. Matt Earn used a fire extinguisher to put out the flames and then proceeded to take the rest of the flags away from the group.
The demonstrators were said to be protesting the Republican agenda on issues such as gay rights, civil rights, and the Bakken oil pipeline.
After this footage was released, social media exploded with both outrage and support toward the FedEx driver's quick decision. Petitions were created to demand for the driver to be fired, while others saying he should keep his job.
FedEx issued a tweet saying that Matt Earn's job is secure and there will be no actions taken to change his employment.
2 of the protesters were charged with a minor misdemeanor for setting the fire without a permit. During the holidays, the soup kitchens are swamped with donations to help feed people who might not be able to afford their own meal. On a daily basis, there are families that struggle to provide meals for themselves, their families, and their loved ones.
Without a consistent flow of donations, food pantries become limited in how many people they are able to feed. In some cases, when no food is coming in, pantries are unable to help those families.
That is exactly what happened to the urban Greensboro Ministry Food Pantry when a lack of donations caused their shelves to run completely dry. Joining us on set now is Triad News reporter Courtney Leopold with more on the crisis that struck the local food pantry. Courtney, can you tell us what's going on right now?
So last Monday, Greensboro Urban Ministry had no food on their shelves, and they're feeding up to 100 to 120 families in the community, and it's been rising as the days have gone on since the holidays have ended. So it's been really crazy, and 100 days past the New Year, basically, it will be worse than it was a week ago.
The shelves are empty.
It makes you very frustrated, especially if you spent a lot of time bringing food out to our clients and you see that you really can't bring to them what they need.
Greensboro Urban Ministry was facing its worst nightmare. Families were coming in and their shelves were completely bare.
Presently, one of the challenges that we face is that we give food to about 100 to 102 households every day, groceries to help people to be able to make ends meet.
The need within the Greensboro community is larger than any other in the nation. Greensboro is 9th in the nation for hungriness and has seen a sudden spike in the past months regarding hunger. The source, things are getting tight and food stamps are being cut. That's what makes Greensboro Urban Ministry's mission so important. Last year, they distributed over 1 million pounds of food to almost 40,000 individuals in 21,000 households.
No one has ever came into these doors and not walked away with a bag of food in almost 50 years. Our feeling as an organization was we can't let that start today.
The community agreed, donations started coming in, and dozens of volunteers showed up to help. This instance is not the end of the need. Greensboro Urban Ministry is always looking for donations, specifically canned fruits and meats.
Greensboro is 9th hungriest city in the United States, and it is crucial for communities to donate to our local food pantry in order to combat hunger in our community.
We're glad to see that the message was heard and the pantry is restocked and now ready to serve the public again. Thank you very much for your time, Courtney.
Thanks, guys.
It's always nice to hear communities working together to really help out the neighbors.
Absolutely, it sure is, Mike. There's nothing better than getting out there and showing support for your local pantry, especially during a time of need of other humans.
Absolutely. Coming up, Greensboro is making room for some new animal friends to roam.
And an entire holiday celebration for a rooster. More on that after this break.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
This is the story of a boy who didn't talk for a long time. The boy liked things to always be the same. Any changes would scare and upset him. The unknown was an unfriendly place. The boy was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. He wasn't trying to be mean, it just made him feel uncomfortable. Sometimes he would flap his arms again and again.
One day, I found out I have something called autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I found my voice and learned all the ways I could live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Get caught buzz driving, and you could do some hard time.
Craig, knock it off.
Sorry, Mom. It could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. And that could set you back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back to Triad News. I'm Todd Uckermark.
And I'm Mike Pumfret.
This past weekend, between 50 to 60 weapons were stolen from a gun show at the Greensboro Coliseum. The police said it appeared to be an organized theft. One vendor said up to 23 guns went missing. Other vendors are still looking to see how many guns were stolen from them. Organizers say that in the 37 years of the Greensboro Gun Show, there has never been a theft at this size.
The popular hardware chain Lowe's, which is based in North Carolina, is set to lay off nearly 2,500 full-time workers. The majority of the cuts will be at the store level, but some will be at the distribution level as well.
Lowe's CEO Robert Niblock said that the layoffs will enhance efficiency and productivity.
No word yet of how many of those layoffs will be at the Triad area Lowe's, hardware stores. It's not every day that money is raised or donated to help fund community activities, especially one that welcomes the furry newcomers to the Triad area.
Well, I know that next week there's going to be a great package on the zoo.
I'm very excited to hear that.
This week, there's one animal in particular we got to mention that has a celebration that is a year long.
Oh, do we?
Yeah. Right now it is the Chinese Year of the Rooster, and the Chinese New Year is upon us.
Happy New Year, everyone. 新年快乐. Yes.
News reporter Anna Chang with her very own Chinese New Year package.
That's not it. That's not it.
is star anise braised beef.
It's a festival of family and food, and 80-year-old Alice Chang is celebrating 3 generations of American Chinese. Though you don't have to be Asian to get in on the fun of the Lunar New Year, the Chang family held their annual Chinese New Year festival. Friends and family all came together in Poughkeepsie, New York to celebrate the Year of the Rooster.
My favorite thing about Chinese New Year is spending time with my family, eating food, and having fun.
The event included amazing foods, entertainment, and a finale of fireworks. After all, what's a Chinese celebration without fireworks? They did invent it thousands of years ago.
It's really just fun to get to be with everybody else in the family and kind of like meet them and see them after like the last time we met them, and some people you haven't seen in so long, and then it's just good to see everyone again for a while and just try to relax and celebrate a holiday that you just really want to enjoy.
If you missed out on Saturday's festivities, there's still plenty of time to enjoy them. The Lunar New Year lasts about 2 weeks, from the new moon to the full moon, and there will be plenty of events to celebrate all throughout cities across the world. Reporting for Triad News, Anna Chang.
What an awesome family tradition. Who knew celebrating a rooster could be so much fun?
Absolutely. And you know, fireworks in the backyard seems pretty cool to me. And it's always nice to see that there's like, you know, even across cultures, there's people bringing the new year with friends, family. Thank you very much for sharing with us, Anna.
Speaking of fun and celebrations, Ringling Brothers Circus will be coming to the Greensboro Coliseum from Friday, February 8th through the 12th as they conclude their final tour.
The Big Top is coming down for the last time. After 146 years of stunning performances, the circus will put on their last few shows in the Triad area. So get your tickets while you still can. Kind of sad to see an American tradition coming to an end.
Coming up next, our weather person Scott Hardesty has the latest on the weather.
And check out what's hot in the box office as well. After this, we'll be right back.
It's harder whenever there's a bigger group. Pretty much a good day for me would be people leaving their hands off of me. I'm always called names. Everywhere that I go, there's always someone calling me names, calling me gay. I've been choked, thrown up against a wall, punched. Nobody's ever tried to help me.
Welcome back to Triad News. I'm Todd Uckermark.
And I'm Mike Pomfret.
1 week it's cold, the next week it's warm. I can't tell whether to ditch the jacket or to keep it.
Tell me about it, Todd. It really has been chilly lately. What does it look like to you, Scott? Is there any chance of the weather warming up?
Well, I hate to break it to you guys, but that hot-cold pattern is going to stick with us, again, with the high-pressure systems. It's going to go low pressure, high pressure, low, high. It's going to come in. We're going to see some rain. It's going to get cool again. High-pressure systems will stay the same for a little bit, up in the 50s for a little while. The low-pressure system will hit us again. More rain, followed by the high-pressure systems again. It will be around the 60s right then. But let's take a look at some of the national temperatures real quick. I want to point some of them out. Look at these temperatures. Look at these numbers for a second. Tomorrow is February 1st. On the Canadian border here, you see that? 25 degrees. It seems a little warm for this time of year still, but that's the same way all across the board. Over here on the West Coast, we see 40s, 43 up in Oregon, 60s out in LA. That's the same for them. Texas out here, you see it's in the 70s in the Midwest, scatters of 35s and 40s. And over here in the Northeast, up by New York, about 20s, 30s. and by DC, still about 50s. And here in High Point, we saw a high of 65 today. Sunny, partially cloudy all day. But let's take a look at the 7-day forecast for High Point. And coming up on Tuesday, today, it was 63 all day. We saw a high of 65, low of 41. Similar tomorrow, partly cloudy, high of 64, low of 43. And Thursday, that low pressure system is going to start coming in, low of 50, high of 57, low of 36. And Friday is when the rain will hit us, high of 45, low of 36. And we might even see some snow coming in. We'll get more on that, so we'll keep you up to date. Saturday, high pressure system hits us again, some clear skies, high of 47, low of 30. Sunday, and that second low pressure system comes in, high of 46, low of 33, more rain, and then as you can see, gets back up to the 60s again. So that last high pressure system comes in, back up to the 60s again. So keep the jackets on stock. I don't know what to tell you yet. Not like February weather, but back to you guys.
Well, thanks, Scott. I'm glad to hear you're able to be warming up for a couple of days.
And if you're looking for something to do when the weather gets too cold out, grab some popcorn and head to the movies. Summer Stevens has our box office hits.
What a better...
I keep thinking about this story.
Discover the after effects of watching a movie in Rings. A man discovers a dark subculture surrounding a mysterious videotape that is said to kill the viewer just 7 days after watching it. Find out if a man's girlfriend will save him or die trying. Rings is rated R.
Study lab is over. Gotta go. Talk tomorrow?
I'm not going anywhere.
Friendship extends beyond planet lines in the space between us. Gardner Elliott is the first human born on Mars, and he develops an online friendship with a teen in Colorado. The young boy travels to meet his earthly pen pal, but problems arise when his organs can't handle the atmosphere. The Space Between Us is rated PG-13. Last week, Oscar nominations were announced, and neo-musical La La Land got a whopping 14 nominations, tying it with the all-time great Titanic. The Academy also took major steps away from an all-white roster of nominees the past 2 years by shining a light on 6 African-American actors. Mahershala Ali and Naomi Harris each received a nod for their supporting work in Moonlight, a poetic drama about a young black man in Miami. Viola Davis and Octavia Spencer were also nominated for supporting actress. Joining Ruth Negga in the lead categories was Mr. Washington of Fences, an adaptation of Austin Wilson's classic play about black life in 1950s Pittsburgh. The award show is set for February 25th, and now everyone is patiently waiting to see who will take home the Oscars. Summer Stevens reporting for the Triad News.
Well, it seems like the movie theaters will be having packed houses with all these great new films.
Up next, High Point University's men's basketball team's big win.
And more on sports with highlights from the HPU Spring Swim Meet Invitational this past weekend, all coming up after this break.
In your new role, we help you help. Visit aarp.org/caregiving for information on how to provide even better care for the person who once took care of you.
Get caught buzzed driving, and you could do some hard time.
Craig, knock it off.
Sorry, Mom. It could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. And that could set you back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back, and thank you for watching Triad News. I'm Todd Uckermark.
And I'm Mike Pomfret.
This past Saturday, High Point University hosted their own spring swim meet invitational against Wake Forest University.
Swimmers raced from the starting blocks in several events: the 200 medley relay, the 100 women's free, the men's 400 free, and women's 200 breaststroke.
Swimmers spent countless hours in the pool to cut seconds off their time so they can compete on the college swim stage. The High Point University men's basketball team won a big game and a thriller this past weekend.
Joining us in the studio is Triad sports reporter Stephen Fay with the game of the year. Stephen?
Thanks, guys. On Sunday night, the High Point women's basketball team dismantled Presbyterian with a commanding 87-60 victory. Emma Bockrath and Kate Harris led the Panthers with 15 points each. The Panthers also shot an impressive 8 of 11 from beyond the arc. The Panthers improved to 4-4 in conference play and have an important inter-conference matchup against Longwood later tonight. For the second week in a row, men's basketball redshirt senior forward Miles Bowman Jr. has been named Big South Player of the Week. The men's basketball team added to their 5-game winning streak with an 83-80 win over Winthrop on Saturday afternoon. Miles Bowman led all Panther scorers with 22 points, 6 from 7 beyond the three-point line, and grabbing 10 rebounds for his 11th double-double of the season. The next game is against the Longwood Lancers on February 1st at 7 p.m. inside the Willett Hall Arena. We have some highlights. Senior Tariq Thompson converts a three-point after getting fouled. Sophomore Ricky Madison had an impressive reverse layup followed by a shot block that would send the Panthers into overtime. With 18 seconds remaining, sophomore Andre Fox hit the game-winning shot. Finally, Madison sealed the victory with his final shot block. I am Stephen Fay, and that's all for this week in Panthers sports. Talk to you soon.
Thank you very much for that. That was an exciting game for men's basketball team.
Both the men's and women's basketball teams have big games this weekend in front of the sellout Family Day crowds.
Coming up after the break, check out how this High Point art exhibit is sending a positive message through their unique display theme.
And see why the arts were alive as well as sentimental station this past Sunday. We'll be right back.
It's harder whenever there's a bigger group. Pretty much a good day for me would be people leaving their hands off of me. I'm always called names. Everywhere that I go, there's always someone calling me names, calling me gay. I've been choked, thrown up against a wall, punched. Nobody's ever tried to help me.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for information on how to provide even better care for the person who wants to care of you.
Welcome back to Triad News. I'm Todd Uckermore.
And I'm Mike Pumfret. The High Point Theater Art Gallery has debuted a new exhibit in effort to promote recycling.
The Second Look Recycling for the Sake of Art exhibit displays pieces that were created entirely from recycled items. Many of these items include toys, metals, cans, and bottle caps. The exhibit, as well as the artist, hope that the unique style of the art will shine a light on the importance of recycling. Some artists traveled from out of state to attend the opening of the night reception. Those who visit the gallery will see everyday objects transform into iconic figures, such as Marilyn Monroe, Bob Marley, and more. The exhibit is free and open to the public until April 1st, so be sure to check it out.
Wow, that really looks fantastic.
Absolutely.
Well, Unfortunately, that looks like all the time we're going to have today.
Thank you for joining us. This is Triad News. I'm Tyler Kamark.
And I'm Mike Puffert. Thanks for watching.